students must develop to enable them to communicate their thoughts and ideas clearly and powerfully. But what is the problem for academic writing? As any other kind of writing, the soul and the major purpose is to communicate. So for you as a student, the only way to impress your marker is through writing. So it is very important how you are going to show what you mean. Otherwise, you may cause misunderstanding or you may not be able to, let's say, so now let's discuss about the characteristics of academic writing. Actually, the academic writing is planned and focused. It answers the questions and try to demonstrate what you really want to imply. The second, it is structured. It means it is coherent. It should have cohesion and a logical order when you are going to show your thought through writing. The other one, academic writing is evidence. It means you should focus on document any kind of evidence you have, and you should try to focus on your subject area. And finally, it is formal in tone and style. You are forced to follow some logical order. You are not allowed to write as an informal piece of writing. There are a lot of rules that you should follow in your writing. So when we are going to discuss about academic writing, it is important to know why you need it actually. The first one, you can take information and communicate in a way that makes sense to the audience. So the researcher will provide you with the information you need to write a paper. However, you have the responsibility of analyzing the information, have your opinion based on your findings. So if you can analyze anything, skills stay with you for the rest of your life. So you will get the ability to analyze, criticize, compare, predict, summarize, and even synthesize the material. So when we say in this way, actually it helps you to enhance your critical thinking skills. Next, when assignments which you get in college and university, actually it prepares you for completing more challenging projects that require analytical skills. Most job positions require the ability to take up complex challenges. So good academic writing skill will help you look at the problem from different angles actually. And it allows you to feel professional, which makes the entry to your career easy. So it enhances professionalism. And the other one, when you are dealing with academic writing, actually you need to manage your time. Why? Because academic writing is closely linked to time limit and word limits. So it makes you manage your time according to the priority. Allocate work ethics. It is very important actually for the student. It helps you deal with a topic never known to you before, ethically. Following all the rules of academic writing, it involves a series of steps, all of which take time and effort. So based on what we said, Actually, academic writing is not unachievable, but how to achieve it? It needs time and practice, just time and practice. So how? Each essay that you write for school is going to be a practice round. You will get better with time and practice, actually. So if you don't have any assignment to work on right now, try to create your own exactly right now. This type of mock essays are not a waste of time. Whatever you write, even without any preparation, help you to get skills required for academic writing. So it's going to allow you to become better. It is something like an introduction to the purpose, what is its definition. But let's work on some tips and tricks that can help you improve your academic writing in this 30-minute presentation, actually. But the whole material can be covered in online course. Is using active voice. So actually, in academic writing, you are not allowed to use passive voice. The only way is writing in active voice unless it is impossible, or you need to use passive voice in order to imply what you mean. Suppose we have some examples for each one of the tips here. For example, our house was cleaned by John. If you write such a sentence in an academic writing, actually it will be, you will be criticized, or you will be asked to edit your sentence. It should be changed to John cleaned our through an active voice to passive voice. The second one, mix it up in terms of punctuation. Actually, lots of people aren't sure about correct use of misuse them. Punctuation marks help to make units of meaning clear and relate them to each other in a way that short sentences can't. So do apply connecting words as well as punctuation marks in your academic writing. Suppose in this sentence, she was always responsible for checking the students' sentence. Actually here, some part of the sentence is not seen. Okay. She was always responsible for checking the student's identity. They call her doorkeeper. So can you consider this sentence as a correct one? No. Why? Because of misuse of colon here. Actually, it should be changed to two complete sentences that are complementary and closely related to each other based on meaning. So it is a kind of common problem happened by students in academic writing. Or the other example, before Mr. Jones awoke, she had several tasks to do. Semicolon, washing the dishes, ironing the clothes, and clearing the room. It is considered as a wrong sentence. Why? We have a list of several tasks. When you are going to discuss about a list of several tasks, such as washing the dishes, ironing, and clearing, you need colon, not semicolon. So there are some common problems that happen in academic writing because we are not sure about the functional question of punctuation marks. Fueled the weak stepmother's hatred for Cinderella, jealousy. Here we use comma, but it is wrong. Why? We need colon here. Why? One thing fueled the weak stepmother's hatred for Cinderella. Actually, jealousy is the big fact reflected in the story of Cinderella. Let's say it is the central theme, the main reason for everything happened in this story, jealousy. So when we are talking about a big fact that all people agree about related to a story, another, let's say, an event happening, we need colon, not comma. So it is another point related to punctuation marks. Or the last one, for example, we write John, who was my friend, is going to give a lecture. Actually, who was my friend here is a kind of explanatory phrase. But we consider this sentence as a wrong one. Why? Because when we use dash to show a complementary sentence or phrase, you are not allowed to have a space before or after dash. So this is one of the problems. Dash was my without any space. Again, dash without any space is going to give a lecture. They seem very small points, but actually your piece of writing will be returned to you for addition. So tip number 3, vary your sentence structure. Actually, you are not allowed to write all the sentences through one sentence structure. You should have diversity in your writing. Suppose, in this example, the woman was dressed in blue. She held a wand. The wand had a star on it. She was covered in sparkles. If you write in this way, it is not acceptable in academic writing. So you should change it to, the woman dressed in blue was covered in sparkles and carried a star-shaped wand. Actually, you use different types of sentences as compound and complex. So in online course, we can discuss about all these details that when we say sentence and structure, we are talking about simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, and compound complex sentence. So you should have this diversity in your academic writing. Tip number 4, avoid choppiness. Choppiness means using lots of very short sentences. For example, in this example, she scrubbed the floors. They were dirty. She used a mop. She sighed sadly. It was as if she were a servant. It is not acceptable in academic writing. So the correct form is, she rubbed the dirty floors using a mop, sighed sadly. This is the correct form and acceptable form of writing in academic. Tip number 5, avoid repetition. Some students, for, I don't know, for emphasis or any other reason, use a group of synonyms with each other in a sentence. For example, the stepsister were jealous
Okay, hello. Is Reza still here? Okay, Reza, should the what is the problem? Hello, Reza. Hello, 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 Reza. Can you hear me? Oh, Reza. Hello. Oh, unmute. Reza, could you please?
Can you hear me?
Ah, yeah, yeah. Now, we can hear you. We can hear sound just now. Okay,
Uh,
you can continue. Yeah, you can continue.
okay, so okay, so do you have the PowerPoint right now, or I should share it
Yes,
again?
yes, yeah. We have the PowerPoint.
You have it?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we can continue.
They are all problems in online sessions.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so
Oh,
not under my control. Okay, so you have full screen right now, right?
yes.
Okay, so I was talking about avoiding choppiness. We said if you write a sentence like she scrubbed the floor, they were dirty, she used a mop, she sighed sadly, it was as if she were a servant. If I saw a sentence, let's say list of sentences like this one, I believe that the person is the writer is an elementary school student actually. So you are not allowed to write in such a form. You need to write in this right form. She scrubbed the dirty floor using a mop as if she were a servant. She sighed sadly. So you should avoid using a list of very short sentences in your academic writing. So tip number 5, we said avoid repetition. Sometimes for emphasis or any other reason, the student try to use a list of, let's say, synonym words. For example, the stepsisters were jealous and envious. Jealous and envious are actually synonymous. So you are not allowed to use two synonyms with each other in academic writing. So the correct form of the sentence would be the stepsisters were jealous or the stepsisters were envious. So don't try to use both of them with each other. Or a very common error, the students in the writing may write, I will repeat it again. Actually, repeat and again cannot accompany each other. I will repeat it. So using again is a kind of common error that happens in academic writing. Tip number 6, be concise. When we say be concise, it means don't write more than what is necessary. You should, let's say, you should summarize what you want to say without any unnecessary additional phrases, sentences, or even words. So if I write a sentence like this one, the mystery lady was one who every eligible man at the ball admired. It is not acceptable in academic writing. So the correct form is every eligible man at the ball admired the mystery lady. So the part was one who is actually a part of sentence that is unnecessary. No need to write in such form. And keep it in your mind. Somebody did something. All your sentences should follow this structure. Means somebody, verb, did, somebody, subject, did, verb, something, object. You should keep it in your mind and try to write most of your sentences based on this formula. Unless it is impossible or you want to say something that need some other structure, sentence structure. So tip number 7, use the vocabulary that you know. Don't try to use big words in your academic writing because it is academic. No. In academic writing, as we said, the purpose is to communicate. So whatever you write more clearly and whatever you use more common words, the understanding will happen better for the reader. So this is the point in academic writing. So it is a kind of misunderstanding that some students try to use big words or technical words in the writing while it is not necessary. Of course, no need to mention that you should try to expand your vocabulary through time and exercise. So tip number 8, use formal language. Sometimes you use informal or slang language when you are writing a piece of paper academically. For example, John was mellow and good. It is not acceptable. Why? Because actually good and mellow in such sentence, such sort of sentence are informal. You should say John was mild-mannered and kind. It is acceptable in academic writing. Tip number 9, use verbs as your friends. It is very important. When you can imply your meaning by using verbs, stop using nouns instead. Sometimes we have car crash of nouns. Car crash of nouns means a set of nouns that come after each other instead of changing some of them to verb form. Let's work on this example. The rebel generation of law avoidance strategies conflicted with the government-determined military solution option. It is not acceptable at all in academic writing. Why? Because you have a car crash of nouns here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nouns after each other, and then one verb only. Again, we have noun, adjective, adjective, noun, noun. As you see in this sentence, you just see one verb and a car crash of different nouns here. It is not acceptable. While you can change it to the rebels generated strategies to avoid the law, but the government decided to use military force and this led to conflict. It is a kind of sentence that is acceptable in academic writing. So as you see in the correct form, we have one verb, the second verb, and the third verb. We have three verbs that make three active voice sentences here. One of them, the rebel-generated strategies to avoid the law. The government decided to use military force, and the third sentence, this led to conflict. And all of the sentences appropriately connected by using connectors, but and to show the relationship or connection between sentences. So it is a kind of acceptable academic writing. But in the previous one, there is no connection between the sentences. Actually, one sentence, we have one sentence because we have one verb conflicted. And the meaning is not clear. Tip number 10, keep the main verb phrase toward the beginning of the sentence. It means don't wait the reader to see what happened. When it takes a long time to have the main verb of sentence, it means there is confusion in the mind of reader. The reader doesn't know what happened in the sentence or idea that you are going to imply. So it is not good. Try to have the main verb as soon as possible in someone did something formula. As we discussed in previous sentence, if you look at it, the main verb happened in the right form, the rebel generated. But in the wrong form, the rebel generation of law avoidance strategies, until here, the reader doesn't know what happened. Until he or she, the reader, exposed to the verb conflicted. So tip number 11, be cautious about using I. In academic writing, you are not allowed to use personal pronouns frequently in your writing, especially in the field of science or in humanities that would like to show themselves as science. For example, in psychology, actually psychology is under the field of humanities, but a close relationship with science, psychiatrics, for example. So don't use personal pronoun I, but if for any reason you need to use it, you should say I feel, I think, to show that it is your understanding, but it is not as a kind of fact. It is very important in academic writing. Number 12, tips number 12, never use a metaphor or other figures of speech. In academic writing, you don't need and you are not allowed to use idioms, expressions, metaphors. Why? Because they are culture bound. So academic writing is something for all people to understand easily. Culture should not be accompanied. So we should avoid using metaphor, similarly for other figures. Number 13, tip number 13, beware of value-laden words. Value-laden words means strong words that show your idea as a fact. No, sorry, not as your own understanding. For example, you may write, Kim was a tyrant, so he made a cruel decision. It is not acceptable. Why? Because you are just talking about your feeling, but the tone of your sentence show it as a fact. While some of your readers may disagree that Kim was a tyrant. So the right form is Kim decided that this rebellion must be put down with exemplary force, for example, to show that it is your idea, your belief, but it is not something documented. It is not a fact, actually. And the last tip that I'm going to discuss in this short presentation is less is more. As we said before, just state what is required, what is necessary, and prevent writing anything that is unnecessary, whether it is a word, whether it is a sentence structure, whether it is an idea. So never use a long word. Well, where a short one will do. Suppose the sentence, the room is not clean. It is a very simple sentence, but it is not accepted in academic writing. Why? Because you can say the room is unclean by using an adjective. So you can, let's say, delete one additional word not in the wrong sentence. Actually, in the room is unclean, you have 4 words. But in the room is not clean, you have 5 words. So the 5-word sentence is considered as a wrong one in academic writing. There are some very small, let's say, and detailed tips that we could cover in 30 minutes presentation. But if you follow just these 14 tips, it can help you a lot in your academic writing. But we'll cover all the details, anything related to this point in online course, hopefully. So based on, if I want to summarize the whole presentation in a small and short expression, I should say write to express, not to impress. You are not going to justify or convince your reader in academic writing, but you want to express your ideas. This is the point that all of us should follow in academic writing. Although we are allowed to analyze, just let's say criticize, evaluate a point, but all of them are related to our own way of understanding, not the fact. The fact should be only expressed, not impressed. This is the major point. Okay, thank you for your attention. Actually, I tried to finish the presentation here.